This clip is a spoiler of content from the movie. If anyone wants to see the full film, skip this clip. Viewers over 18 years old should be advised, and children, pregnant women, or elderly people with heart conditions should be under medical supervision. For those watching alone, it's recommended to hug a pillow. If you have a partner, hold your partner. I hope you all enjoy watching and listening. Thank you. When night falls, spirits from another world wander everywhere, from the dark corners of narrow alleys to abandoned houses or apartments. They might appear as the image of a young woman on a sugarcane cart, or a clever man lurking in the cemetery, waiting for the right moment to spread death. Lady Nam Oi. The story opens with the famous actress, Lan Huang. She's a top star in the industry, and people and reporters constantly surround her no matter where she goes. Even the sugarcane cart she supports becomes famous because of her. This led the owner of the sugarcane cart to draw a picture of Lan Huang on the cart as a keepsake. Soon, other carts followed suit, and almost every cart had her picture on the front. But it's sad that her beauty brought tragedy along with it. She didn't remain famous for long before something terrible happened. One evening, a group of thugs called out to her in front of her house. When Lan Huang opened the door, the thugs splashed acid on her face, causing her to scream in pain. It's said that her face was completely disfigured before she disappeared, and there are also rumors that Lan Huang committed suicide. Not long after, a female actress named Ainua started to imitate Lan Huang. People said that Ainua admired Lan Huang and hoped to become famous like her. This was just a conversation between a young couple talking to Min, who was discussing Ainua, who is now both an actress and an acting coach. Min mentioned that tomorrow she would become Ainua's student because she was selected by Ainua during the audition. And it is possible that the reason why there are tens of thousands of Ainua disciples is because she looks like Lan Huang. That thought made another girl who passed the audition feel a bit resentful, because she thought Min wasn't selected based on her talent. So that morning, the two of them sat waiting at Ainua's house, and after a while, Ainua came out to talk, and checked the personalities of the two students she had chosen. Ainua said she would pick one of them to co-star in a movie with her. But at that moment, Ainua could sense that Min wasn't feeling great about the buzz that her looks were similar to Lan Huang's, but that she didn't have the same talent. So, Ainua comforted her, saying she didn't have to be like Lan Huang, because Min was beautiful in her own way and was already pretty enough. This made Min smile. Ainua taught both of them that once they became actresses, they had to accept that their faces and bodies were no longer just their own. It would become public property, and because of that, they needed to take good care of themselves, especially their looks. That night, Min had a strange dream where it felt like she was trying to pull her own face off before she jolted awake. It might have been because she was too concerned about her beauty and thinking too much about her appearance. It will become public property, and because of that, they need to take good care of themselves, especially their looks. In the middle of the night, Min had a strange dream where it felt like she was trying to pull her own face off before she jolted awake. It might have been because she was too concerned about her looks and thinking too much about her appearance. During training, Lee Liam mentioned Min's boyfriend to Ainua, seeing it as a weakness that could hinder Min's fame. Lee Liam wanted to overshadow Min, so she made Min look bad and tried to eliminate her as a competitor. Min felt helpless, fearing negative news could ruin her acting career, leading to frequent bullying by Buriram. That day, she didn't notice a woman in Ainua's house. As she walked further, a woman lunged at her, jolting her awake. She had dozed off at Ainua's house. Before leaving, she realized she forgot her wallet and returned to find something strange. She saw someone resembling Lan Huang and heard glass breaking and a scream from Ainua's house, but Ainua texted her, saying there was nothing to worry about and to go home. Min was bullied by Buriram. One day, she didn't notice a woman in Ainua's house. As she walked in, a woman lunged at her, grabbing her neck. She jolted awake, realizing she had dozed off there. She saw someone like Lan Huang and heard glass breaking and a scream. Ainua texted her to go home. That night, Hui comforted Min, saying her nightmares were due to overthinking about Lan Huang. He wondered why Ainua, despite her wealth, bought Lan Huang's old house. Min said before Ainua, stars like Hom Yung and Ada Deng had lived there. When they got home, she realized she forgot her wallet at Ainua's house and hurried back. There, she saw someone resembling Lan Huang and heard glass breaking and a scream. Ainua texted her not to worry and go home. That night, Hui comforted Min, suggesting her nightmares were due to overthinking about Lan Huang. Hui was curious why wealthy Ainua bought Lan Huang's old house. Min noted others like Hom Yung and Ada Daeng had lived there too. The next morning, Min felt uneasy about the previous day. Meeting Ainua, she learned she would be her co-star, making Min wonder if she was dreaming. That night, Hui comforted Min, saying she might have just been seeing things, and that her recent nightmares were probably because she was overthinking about Lan Huang. But Hui still felt curious about why Ainua, who was quite wealthy, chose to buy the old wooden house of Lan Huang and live there. Min mentioned that it wasn't just Ainua who bought and lived in that old house. Before her, other stars like Hom Yung and Ada Daeng had also bought and lived there. The next morning, Min went to acting class as usual, but she felt strange about what had happened the day before. When she met Ainua, she said she had something to tell Min, but Ainua also had something to share with her. Ainua then announced that she had decided to let Min be her co-star. When Min heard this, she felt so happy that she wondered if she was dreaming. Ainua told Min to move into her house to practice acting and requested she break up with Hun for her career. Hai found out and got angry, but Min and Hun planned to pretend to break up. That evening, Min moved in. Ainua showed her the room and hugged her, which felt strange to Min, but she respected Ainua. Ainua told Min to rest for the director's introduction the next day. Before leaving, Ainua set 2 rules. Min couldn't go upstairs without permission and couldn't wander alone at night. Min agreed. That evening, Min moved into Ainua's house. When she arrived, Ainua took her to her room, and suddenly, Ainua hugged Min, which made Min feel a bit strange, but she didn't think much of it, since she respected Ainua like an older sister. Ainua then told Min to rest up, because the next morning, she would introduce her to the film director. But before Ainua left the room, she laid down the house rules. While Min was staying there, she had to follow 2 rules. 1, she couldn't go upstairs without permission. 2, she couldn't wander around the house alone at night. Min promised to follow the rules. 1, you can't go upstairs without permission. 2, you can't wander around the house alone at night. Min promised to follow the rules. Ain introduced Mint to the director. The director disagreed with casting her. Ain offered to fund the project. Ain smiled at gratitude, making Mint feel strange. Ain looked at her deeply. The face of the demon. Mint attracted media attention. When Mint heard, Ain said that if they worried about losing money, she would fund the entire movie herself. That evening, someone told Ain they felt grateful for what she was doing for Mint, but Ain just smiled silently, which made Mint feel strange. Ain often approached her with a deep gaze. This continued until the day of the press conference for the movie, titled The Face of the Demon. Mint, an unknown actress, got much media attention. That evening, Mint gave Ain flowers to thank her for all her help. Ain then gave Mint a deed transferring the house to her. Mint said the gift was too big to accept. Ain reassured her not to be shocked, as soon everything of hers would be Mint's. At the movie's press conference, Ain and Mint, the face of the demon. Mint attracted media attention. That evening, Mint gave Ain flowers. Ain then gifted Mint a house deed. Mint felt it was too much and couldn't accept it. Ain reassured her, leaving Mint wondering about Ain's intentions. That evening, Mint brought a bouquet of flowers to Ain. Ain then gave Mint a deed for the house. Mint said the gift was too big to accept. Ain reassured her that soon, everything of hers would be Mint's. Mint wondered what Ain meant. Later, Mint smiled, proud of making the newspaper front page. Moy called, and Mint answered cheerfully, as they agreed Moy would only call if Mint reached out first. But Ain was around 24/7, leaving Mint no time to contact Moy. Min's words made Min wonder what this guy was trying to convey. That evening, Mint was smiling, proud of herself for making it onto the front page of a newspaper. Suddenly, Moy called her, and Mint answered with a happy hello, since they had agreed that while she was at Ain's house, Moy should only contact her if she reached out first. But lately, Aina had been around almost 24/7, leaving Mint with no time to get in touch with Moy. This led to them having an argument, and Mint stopped answering Moy's calls. Later that night, while Mint was reading the script in bed, she suddenly heard a loud scream coming from upstairs. When she heard that, she decided to go check it out, forgetting the house rule about going upstairs. So the two ended up arguing, and Mint completely stopped answering Hui's calls. That night, while Min was reading the script on her bed, she suddenly heard a loud scream coming from upstairs. When Min heard it, she went upstairs to take a look, forgetting the house rule of 5 map. In Ain's room, she chanted and smeared blood on her face before peeling her skin. Mint's flashlight went out on the stairs and a shadow appeared. She woke up thinking it was a dream, but saw a coffee stain. Moi visited Mint and Ain warned Hui, who was hit by a car. As she walked up the stairs, her flashlight went out. She felt a shadowy presence behind her. She woke up the next morning, thinking it was a dream, but saw a coffee stain on her script. This made her question if last night was real. That morning, Moi visited Mint at Ain's house. Ain told Mint to stay inside and called her people to warn Hui not to get involved with Mint. Hui, fleeing from Ain's people, was hit by a car and died. Curious about last night, Mint sneaked upstairs again. She found a door ajar and peeked inside, horrified to see Ain peeling off her face. Mint was shocked but tried to leave. It was too late. Ain grabbed her and took her captive. Mint wondered if what happened last night was real. Moi visited Mint. Ain told Mint to stay inside when she saw Hui. Ain warned Hui not to get involved with Mint. Tragically, fleeing Ain's people, Hui was hit by a car and died. Mint sneaked upstairs again. She found a door ajar and peeked inside, horrified to see Ain peeling off her own face. Shocked, Mint tried to keep her composure and leave, but Ain grabbed her, taking her captive. Mint regained consciousness and screamed, seeing a faceless girl chained and herself bound. Driven by her curiosity about what happened upstairs the night before, Mint sneaked up to the upper floor of the house again. She found a door slightly ajar, and when she peeked inside, she was horrified to see Ain peeling off her own face. Mint was shocked, but she tried to keep her composure and turned to leave. However, it was too late, as Ain grabbed her and took her captive. Mint awoke, seeing a faceless girl chained. Ain entered with something bloody, and Mint cried for help. The faceless girl said Ain was Lan Heng. The girl explained Lan Heng might use black magic to wear others' faces. Aina entered. The faceless girl said Aina was Lan Heng. Mint was shocked. Lan Heng is dead. The girl explained Lan Heng used magic to wear others' faces. When Mint met her, she was Hong Young. The magic kept Lan Heng young, living off young girls. For 20 years, she wore... At that moment, the faceless woman told Mint that Ain was actually Lan Heng. Mint was shocked. How can that be? Lan Heng is dead. The woman explained Lan Heng might have learned black magic to use others' faces. When Mint first met Lan Heng, she was using Hong Young's face. This magic kept Lan Heng young by sacrificing young girls. For 20 years, Lan Heng used Ain's face. In another 20 years, she would take Mint's face. Mint realized Lan Heng lived as others through dark magic and stolen faces. It all made sense now. Lan Heng planned everything so no one would suspect, and it was no surprise she gave this house to Mint. Lan Heng was using the face of Hong Young, and due to dark magic, she could stay young forever. For 20 years, she used Ain's real face. In 20 years, she'd take Mint's face and name. Mint realized Lan Heng lived as others, using dark magic and stolen faces. It made sense. Lan Heng planned it, so no one suspected, and gave Mint the house. Mint learned the truth and tried to escape. Meanwhile, Lan Heng, using another's face, rehearsed. She returned to Ain, thanked her for 20 years, promised to return her face, and sent her soul to the afterlife painlessly. The faces were part of her plan. No one suspected. Ain gave her the house. Mint learned the truth and tried to escape. Lan Heng, using another's face, rehearsed. She promised to return Ain's face. Mint learned the truth and tried to escape. Lan Heng, using another's face, rehearsed her performance, then thanked Ain for 20 years, promising to return her face and send her soul to the afterlife painlessly. Mint used glass to cut her bindings and ran, but the house was locked. A rainstorm drowned her cries. She ran upstairs, Lan Heng close behind, but was cornered as the upper floor was locked too. Lan Heng assured Mint she wouldn't die, as the face's effects lasted while the original owner lived. Feeling trapped, Mint cut her own face, ruining Lan Heng's plan to use it. Mint seized the chance to cut her ropes with a glass shard and ran, but the house was locked. A rainstorm drowned her cries for help. She ran upstairs, with Lan Heng close behind, but was cornered as the upper floor was also locked. Lan Heng assured Mint she wouldn't die, as the face's effects lasted while the original owner lived. Feeling trapped, Mint cut her own face, ruining Lan Heng's plan. Furious, Lan Heng stabbed Mint with the shard until she died. Lan Heng then returned to Ain. Her plan failed. She walked towards Mint, assuring her she would protect Mint. But then, unexpectedly, when Mint used the shard of glass to cut her own face, deeply wounding herself. Furious, Lan Heng stabbed Mint until she succumbed. Lan Heng returned to Ain. She planned to use Ain's face. As Lan Heng tried to peel Ain's face, Ain awoke and stabbed Lan Heng, killing her. He was angry and went crazy and stabbed Min with the shards of glass in his hand until he died. After that, politics came back to Ain again, because the plan to change Min's face had failed, so she decided to go back to using Ain's face for now. However, as Lan Heng tried to peel Ain's face off, Ain suddenly opened her eyes and used a shard of glass from the room to stab Lan Heng, killing her as well. And now, Ain had turned into someone who practiced dark magic herself. After 20 years of suffering, she had witnessed the horrors of the dark magic that Lan Heng had once wielded. In the end, she had become like Lan Heng, seeking out new young girls to replace her own face and maintain her youth. Love comes from people. The story opens at an elementary school, and it's after school hours. A boy and a girl walk out of the school, and the girl runs over to a cotton candy cart to buy a stick of cotton candy. The owner of the cart is named Hong, and he really loves performing magic tricks. Almost every time kids come to buy cotton candy or snacks from his cart, he always shows them a magic trick. Later that evening, before he closes up shop, a girl comes and asks him to do a magic trick in exchange for the candy she's holding, but he tells her to come back next time because he has to pack up and go home. He promises her that he will definitely show her a magic trick. That evening, a girl asked for a magic trick, candy. He told her to return next time. As he had to leave, he went home to his rundown rental. He saw Aunt Nam, who often played music. Her violin was broken. I asked her to return for a magic trick. At home, I met Aunt Nam, who compared her broken violin to her life. She feared loneliness after death and sang, "Don't leave me alone," lost in the moment. I returned to a rundown rental room in a small community. I saw Aunt Nam's house, who played music outside. I stopped to chat with her. She said her violin was broken, and compared her life to a dying tree, unsure when it would end. I asked about her late-night song, "Don't Leave Me Alone." She said it was a sad song about death, fearing loneliness in death. She sang and got lost in the moment. I called her back to reality and asked if she was okay. She said she was fine and told me to leave. I asked her the song she played at night, called "Don't Leave Me Alone." She said it was a sad song about death and loneliness. She started singing the song and got lost in it. I called her back to reality and asked if she was okay. She said she was fine and told me to leave. When I got home, I noticed a strange smell. Hong's father was performing a ritual with broken glass. He kept saying sorry and seemed to harm himself with a knife. Then, someone knocked, making him stop. Until I had to call my aunt to wake her up and ask her if she was okay, to which she said nothing was wrong and told me to go home. Arriving home, he noticed a strange smell coming from inside. Hong's father was doing a ritual with broken glass. He repeated he was sorry and he seemed to harm himself. Pulling a knife, a knock on the door stopped him. Hong warned his father about the ritual flames catching fire. That evening, they sat at opposite ends during dinner. Hong's father was focused on the TV, not eating. Hong asked if he wanted more noodles, but he said he had no money. His father scolded him to stop trading magic tricks for change and find a real job. Hong warned his father to keep the flames from his sacrificial offerings out of sight because they would burn down the entire building. That evening, while father and son ate, the father was so focused on the TV that he hadn't eaten. Hong tried to get his attention by asking if he wanted more noodles, but his father said he had no money. His father scolded him, telling him to stop playing magic tricks for spare change and to find a real job. He emphasized the importance of rituals for their survival and repeated to Hong to stop making promises to kids. Later, I went for a walk and ran into the girl I had promised a magic trick. She asked why I didn't perform it the other day. I was confused because I had just seen her earlier. Then, her tone changed as she said, "The rituals are very important, and my father has to do them to ensure our survival." He emphasized again that I should stop playing magic tricks and making promises to the kids. After that, I went out for a walk downstairs. While I was strolling along, I ran into the same girl I had promised to show a magic trick to. She was standing right in front of me. The girl asked me why I didn't perform a magic trick for her the other day, and I felt confused because I had just seen her earlier that evening. After a moment, her tone changed as she said, "You made a promise, so keep it. Don't just say things like it's nothing." Then, she ran away in a panic. I tried to chase after her, but I couldn't catch up. Eventually, I came across a street vendor, and the owner asked if I was looking for that girl. He told me to sit and wait at his stall, because she would probably run back soon. A promise is a promise. Don't break your word like it's just empty talk. Before that girl ran away in panic. Hong ran after her, but he couldn't catch up until he came across a roadside stall. The owner of the stall asked if he was looking for that girl. If so, he told Hong to sit and wait at the stall, because the girl would probably run back soon. However, during that moment, Hong was tricked by the shop owner, who appeared with a headless body and eyes popping out from his palms, looking terrifying. This made Hong jump awake, realizing it was just a nightmare. But when he woke up, he found that both of his eyes were bleeding non-stop. Seeing this, he quickly ran to find his father, but before he could say anything, his father spoke up, saying, "I told you, if you can't do it, don't make promises." But when he woke up, both of his eyes were bleeding non-stop. Seeing that, he quickly ran to find his father, but before he could say anything, his father spoke up, saying, "I told you, if you can't do it, don't make promises. If you can't do it, then don't make promises." That afternoon, the room where I was going to sell cotton candy came across a sign announcing a magic contest, with a prize money worth over 3 million theatres, or about 4,500 baht, which I was quite interested in. But he found himself looking for the girl he had promised, and the magic competition his father had forbidden him to enter. Then one day, his father passed away, and that was the day he decided to enter the magic competition. He found his father's bag full of magic props. Suddenly, childhood memories came rushing back, how he wanted to be a magician so much that he started training. However, when his parents found out, they banned him from performing, but he kept pursuing his dreams and continued to enter magic competitions until his parents gave him an ultimatum. If he didn't stop doing shows, they wouldn't want to see him again. While he was competing, he wasn't doing well, but then a demon from a broken mirror offered him a deal to make him famous and win the competition. He practiced magic. When his parents found out, they forbade him. Seeing it as frivolous, burned by his props, he pursued his dreams, entering competitions. His parents gave an ultimatum: stop, or they wouldn't see him again. Competing, he struggled until a demon from a mirror offered fame for unique tricks. After accepting, he became famous. He had to perform unique magic for the demon, but he refused to give up and kept entering magic competitions until his parents issued an ultimatum. If he didn't stop performing, they didn't want to see him again. While competing, he struggled, but then suddenly a mirror demon offered fame and victory. However, he had to perform new tricks, never repeating. After he made the promise, he became famous as he hoped. From then on, he had to perform unique magic for the demon in the mirror, like a girl reminding him of his promise. Eventually, he ran out of tricks. The demon haunts him now. He finds offerings to appease the demon daily, but he had to trade that for performing new tricks in front of the mirror, never repeating them again. After he made the promise, he became famous just as he had hoped. From then on, he had to perform unique magic for the demon in the mirror, which was like the little girl who kept reminding him of the promise he made. Eventually, he ran out of ideas and couldn't come up with new tricks anymore. The demon he bargained with haunts him. A magic show mishap stabbed his assistant's eyes. His father worshipped the demon, not a sacred object. His aunt died over 10 years ago. Then a tragic incident occurred when he made a mistake during a magic performance, causing a knife to accidentally stab both of his assistant's eyes, jolting him awake in the present moment. All the memories he encountered made him realize that the memories he shared with his father were intertwined, but he still didn't understand how that was possible. When he discovered that what his father was worshipping wasn't a sacred object, but rather an evil demon that had been following him all along, it shocked him. On that very day, he also learned from the son of his aunt that she had actually passed away over 10 years ago. Among the things that he probably encountered was the spirit of Aunt Nam herself, and Aunt Nam's son also said that the reason why the rent in this apartment is so cheap is because it is not a place for living people. When he thought about it carefully, all of the events that he encountered were ghosts, demons, and dead people. Knowing this, he tried to destroy the mirror shards, the demon's dwelling. He nearly fell for the demon's illusion. He snapped back to reality and fled. Memories of his father appeasing the demon returned. He saved his father, who vanished, replaced by a girl demanding magic. Another memory showed his father performing. These memories revealed they were the same. His father, the true memory, made a deal with the demon, the girl, and failed, leading to her haunting him. He almost fell for an illusion created by the demon, which made him walk off the edge of a building. Luckily, he managed to snap back to reality just in time, and tried to run away from the demon, which was hot on his heels. Then, memories of his father flooded back, showing him his dad trying to appease the demon. He managed to save his father, but then his dad vanished, only for a little girl to appear, demanding that he perform magic for her again. But for a moment, a memory surfaced, showing his father doing magic for the little girl. These thoughts revealed he and his father were one. His father was the memory, having made a pact with the demon, and failing to keep it because he could not come up with new acts. This led to the demon, the little girl, taunting him, and demanding magic. Hong was an illusion created by his father, who wanted to fix the past through imagination. His father told the vision of Hong she wasn't real before he used a knife to pierce the pretty Hong, meaning he was stabbing his own pretty self before he died alone. He kept being haunted by the little girl, demanding that he perform magic for her. Hong was like an illusion created by his father, who wanted to go back and fix the past through imagination and hallucinations. In the end, his father spoke to the illusion of Hong, saying that she wasn't real, before he used a knife to stab the pretty Hong, which meant he was stabbing his own pretty self, before he died alone.
Three Spirits and the Seven Spirits. The story opens at Big's house, a young woman who can communicate with spirits. At that moment, two siblings come to her for help, asking Big to find the body of Ood. Big asks for information about Ood, and how long he has been missing, wondering why they are only now seeking her assistance. After the siblings provided information and a picture of Ood, they walked back home. Big then used her spirit communication powers to focus on Ood's picture, but she couldn't sense anything at all. Later that night, while Big was lying in bed, she heard someone calling her name softly. When she got up to check, she didn't see anyone, but she felt something moving closer from a distance. That night, while Big was in bed, she heard her name softly called. She got up, saw no one, but sensed something approaching. Suddenly, a headless ghost appeared and lunged at her, startling her awake from the dream. Outside, she sensed something again, and the ghost reappeared, causing her to wake up startled. Later, Big tried to connect with Ood's spirit using his picture. The image was blurry, but she communicated with the spirit and envisioned a location in Longay. Again, the headless ghost appeared, lunging at her and waking her from the dream. Big tried to connect with Ood's spirit using his picture. The image was blurry, but Big communicated with the spirit and saw a location in Long Ai. She traveled there, finding a cemetery in a deer field. She followed the vision. As evening approached, it rained, so she ran into a nearby house. Inside, an old woman invited her to sit and offered tea. The woman asked Big where she was from. Big explained she was searching for the body of a young girl. When I knew that, I immediately traveled there. The place where she saw the vision was a cemetery in the deer field. Then she tried to use her power to follow the vision one by one. After 3 p.m, it started raining again, so she took shelter in a house. Inside, she met an old woman who offered her tea and asked where she was from. Big explained she was a spirit detective searching for a young girl's body. The old woman warned her to stop searching, saying she wouldn't find her and would die if she continued. She then kicked Big out. As Big left, she heard the woman laughing. Later, Big heard her name softly called as streetlights flickered. Feeling followed, she ran in panic to another street, but the voice persisted, so she followed it. When the old woman heard that, she told Big not to search anymore, because no matter how hard she looked, she wouldn't find anything. It was as if the old woman knew something, but she insisted again, with an irritated tone, that Big should stop looking, warning her that if she continued, she would be the one to die. After that, the old woman kicked her out of the house immediately, and as Big left, she heard the old woman laughing behind her. Then, Big heard someone calling her name as the streetlights started flickering. She felt like someone was following her closely, which made her scared, and she ran away until she found herself on another street. But even then, the voice calling her name didn't stop, so she tried to follow the source of that sound. The voice led her to a spot. Curious, she started to dig in the dirt with her hands, but at that moment, a man came up from behind and grabbed her neck. The next thing she knew, she woke up in what looked like a cemetery. Big saw workers digging where she had dug, searching for Ood's body. She tried to run away. The voice led her to a stop where something seemed to have happened. Big noticed something suspicious and tried to dig with her hands. A man locked his arm around her neck. She woke up in a cemetery from her vision. Big saw workers digging where she had tried to dig. Remembering the night before, she ran away. She found a house sensing past events related to Ood and followed Ood's vision to the second floor. When she realized what was happening, she woke up in the cemetery from her vision. It was a bright afternoon, and Big noticed the workers digging in the area where she had been trying to dig for Ud's body. As she saw that, and remembered the night before when she was choked, she tried to run away. Then she came across Din's house, and began to sense the past stories of Ood within that house, which seemed to belong to a family connected to the cemetery. She followed the vision of Ood up to the second floor of the house. Ham was praying to find Wood, distressed by her illness. Din told Ham it didn't mean psychic powers or spirit investigations always worked. Din noticed Big eavesdropping and led her home. She saw children turn into spirits, haunting her until she ran inside. She was confused, trying to help but stuck in a loop, unable to grasp Woot's situation. Still, she was determined to find Woot and bring him home. She noticed a change. The children once playing around her room were now spirits, haunting her, terrifying her back inside. She was confused about what was happening. Though trying to help, she seemed stuck, unable to grasp Woot's body situation, yet Big was determined to find Woot's body and bring him home. That night, as Big slept, the headless ghost haunted and choked her until she could barely breathe. Later, she was back at the cemetery from her vision, hearing the old woman ask if she was still searching for the body. The old woman questioned who Big was, suggesting she was like her. The scene cut between her house, facing the headless ghost. She is determined to find Woot's body and bring him home for sure. That night, the headless ghost haunted and choked her. She was back at the cemetery, where the old woman questioned Big's identity, suggesting they were alike. The scene shifted between her house and the ghost. Big was confused, unable to discern reality from vision. She saw a man burying a sack. Focusing on the sack, she saw Ood harmed and killed alone. The sack held Ood's body parts, buried to hide the crime. Seeing Ood's skull, she realized he was strangled. She ran away and encountered Din before the scene cut back to the cemetery again. Big was very confused, unable to tell which was reality and which was her vision. Then she came across a man digging a hole and burying something in a sack. When Big focused her spirit energy on the contents of the sack, she saw a vision of Ood being harmed and killed while he was home alone. Ood's body parts were found. When Big found Ood's skull, she was shown the details of his death, realizing Ood had been strangled. Then, the white spirit and the old large spirit merged into Ood's spirit. In the end, everything was clear. Hank and Dit believed a deceased person has 3 spirits: Peace, Enlightenment, and Original. They used Big's spirit to find Ood's body. After Hank's sister died, their parents bought Big's room. Hank and Dit believed a deceased person has 3 spirits: Peace, Enlightenment, and Original. They used these spirits to find Ood's body. With Big's spirit guiding them, they found Ood's body parts, and Ood's spirit and Big's spirit said goodbye before moving on. First, the spirit of Peace, which is the headless ghost. Second, the enlightened spirit, which is the old woman's spirit from the cemetery. And third, the original spirit, which is Big's spirit. Hank and Dit used these 3 spirits to help search for Ood's body, using Big's spirit to guide them to the location where Ood's body was buried. In the end, they found the pieces of Ood's body that had been buried. Then, Hank and Din took Ood's body parts to perform a religious ceremony, and Ood's spirit, along with Big's original spirit, came to say goodbye. Before moving on to another realm